Hello and welcome to another episode of Stop the Clock. This is episode 7, I believe. And it's time. They are here after 18 weeks of projections and analyzing and who's going to do what and all the crazy situations last week. The games are set. The playoffs are here.
And so, it's fantastic.
I am your host, Sam Furmaniak, alongside Jude Ocañas. And before we get in, because this episode, we're not going to do any talk. We are just talking about the games here. We're doing our picks and then obviously going into a deep dive of each game. But the regular season ended. So for me, I went 11-5 last week, which puts my regular season record at 171 and 101. And because Jude coerced me into taking the Eagles, I scored 14 points and lost. So.
Yeah, I took the win there. I did, I honestly did not mean for that to happen. I just felt like Sam really needed to catch up in points, and that was the game he could have done it with. So
I didn't realize, I think, at that point, maybe I did, and I'm just about to eat my words. I don't know if I realized that Jalen Hurts wasn't playing, but it's okay.
Well, I don't think we'd known before recording. I don't think we'd known that he was sitting out the whole time.
They were resting a lot, which made sense because they weren't going to go up and seeding at all, but
yes.
All right. So our first game after probably the game of the year, should have tied, but that's another story. We have the Raiders heading to take on the AFC North champs. Joe Burrow got some rest last week. He didn't even travel to Cleveland. Jamar Chase was in just to break the Bengals rookie receiving record. He did that, obviously. So what are things to watch in this game, dude?
Well, I think the biggest thing to watch, and it's what we've seen from the Bengals all year. It's the big play Bengals, I like to call it. They're a team that consists of big plays. Now they can make those little bit of those smaller plays, but how they generate offense is through those big plays, through those large Jamar Chase receptions, through those large Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins type of receptions, big runs from Joe Mixon. That's really how the Bengals, generate offense. And so I think if you're the Raiders, and that's something you have to look at, is like, okay, how can we eliminate the little plays? Make Joe Burrow really start to think and take away those vertical plays that are really going to kill us. Because, we've seen Jamar Chase just in his rookie campaign kill defenses with the vertical game. So I think really making it sideline to sideline, it's got to be the biggest key for the Raiders. And it's going to be tough because defensively, they're not really great in the secondary.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I look at this game and okay, how do you defend the Bengals? I think it's a bit similar to defending the Chiefs in the way that the Chiefs have been big play, big play, big play. Maybe the Bengals don't have all the speed that the Chiefs do, but it's still an offense built off of big plays. However, what we've seen happen with the Chiefs is people start defending them, making Patrick Mahomes go the length of the field, which has helped in terms of keeping it a close game. But however, I don't know if the Raiders want to defend the Bengals like the Chiefs because they got blown out by the Chiefs twice.
Yeah.
However, this is one of 5 games in wildcard weekend out of the 6 that is a rematch. So these two teams played earlier in the year, I believe in week 11, where the Bengals went into Las Vegas and they dominated. And it actually, the key thing is, which I find so interesting because we just talked about their weak secondary, is that Joe Burrow did not do a lot in that game. They actually relied a lot on Joe Mixon, and I think that's what they're going to have to do in this one. I think Joe Burrow, obviously, they're going to watch the film, and he's going to come out and probably have more than, 140 yards? He'll probably have more than that.
148 that game.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I think you bring up a fantastic point with, really the similarities between how you defend the Bengals and how you defend the Chiefs. The Bengals have the advantage, I want to say, in the end, that they have a running back who you can be like, man, that guy can go get you 100 yards. And so I think that's where you kind of look at it's like you you start maybe playing, a little deeper in your coverage. Okay, then we're going to run Joe Mixon. And I think that's something that the Bengals kind of have the advantage at. And I think, to me, that's why the Bengals will end up winning this game, just because you got to pick your poison, right? Do you want to get killed at the passing game? And obviously the Raiders rush defense isn't terrible, but when you're pushing so many people back and with a great runner like Joe Mixon, that's tough to stop.
Yeah, because I think what's interesting is this is definitely a game of matchups. I think looking at it on paper, the Bengals, they got to love the matchups. I can't think of one person defensively that the Bengals have that I like that matchup against any one of their top 3 receivers.
You don't like Nate Hobbs?
No, dude, that dude is so Don't even get me started. However, if you're on the Raiders side, I also think you have to like the matchups as well. Personally,
Especially with Darren Waller.
Exactly, with Darren Waller, one, and I don't really trust that many people in the Bengals secondary to guard Hunter Renfrow out of the slot. The key is, though, when they played the Chargers, with the exception of Hunter Renfrow catching that one touchdown, their playmakers were not there necessarily in the passing game. It was mainly just relying on Derek Carr as well as Josh Jacobs. They're going to have to do more of this. I think they're going to, granted, I'm not saying copy what the Chargers did because the Chargers defense did kind of blow that game, but granted, that was on the ground. So definitely stopping Josh Jacobs is a big thing. But I'm really interested to see how Derek Carr comes out because this is his first career playoff game. And I think whoever wins those one-on-one matchups, because I think both offenses have the advantage in that, is going to come out and win this game.
Totally agree. I think I trust the Bengals secondary a lot more than I would trust the Oakland secondary. I'm sorry, the Vegas secondary, just with guys like Cheeto, former Cowboy. But, Cheeto's had himself a year with the Bengals, obviously, after getting that contract. So I think that's kind of where I think the playmaking is going to have to come from Waller. I don't really think there's a linebacker in the Bengals room right now that I could truly trust to guard, Waller. Maybe they bring down a safety and guard him. But, at the end of the day, you're going to have to guard Waller. And
it's likely going to be Jesse Bates. And Jesse Bates is a phenomenal safety. But, again, it's the old adage when it comes to tight ends. It's like linebackers will be too slow, but safeties won't be as big. So it's
as big, yeah.
It's a matchup problem. However, looking across the board, I think the Bengals have more winnable matchups. They're playing in the jungle in Cincinnati. And while I do like the Raiders' chances, I think absolutely they could come out with the upset. Joe Burrow's too clutch. He's been there too many times. He won a national championship for crying out loud. This is his first playoff appearance as well as Derek Carr's. I think he's going to be poised. I think he's going to have a good game. So I'm going to take the Bengals in this one.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm going to take the Bengals too. I think it'll be a close one, but at the end of the day, I think either Jamar Chase or Joe Mixon will have himself a day.
I like it. All right, let's go to the second game of the wildcard weekend. Slated to be one of the coldest in recent memory. I believe the high in this game is 0 degrees.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like right now. It's right now 6 degrees there right now. And I'd imagine by kickoff, it's going to probably be 0 degrees.
Yeah. So the question is, though, who does this play into the hands to? Because
we saw it earlier this season.
That's what it's like. You'd think it would be Buffalo because they play up there for crying. Like, that's where they play. They brought Josh Allen in to be like a guy because he played in Wyoming that he could play in these tough weather situations. However, when it came down to playing in Buffalo, granted, we're not going to have the kind of wins that we did in that game. New England dominated in the weather because they were able to run the football better, and I think that's going to be the key to this game. And that's truly, I think, Buffalo's one weakness is they don't really have a run game outside of Josh Allen. Yes, Singletary had some touchdowns last game, but I don't trust Singletary. I don't trust Moss. Really, their best threat running the ball is Josh Allen, and I don't think that's a feasible situation, granted, just given the how much he does for that offense already. Mm-hmm. So this is tough because Josh Allen, despite having them, they brought him in to play in the cold weather. He has not played well in the cold weather this year. We saw it last week where they couldn't really get started versus the Jets, and the week before, even then, against the Falcons, they didn't do much. So we need more out of Josh Allen in this.
Yeah, and I'm rooting for Josh Allen, but at the same time, you have the guy on the other side named Bill Belichick, who's prone for this weather, and he's one of the great defensive minds. And I just feel like you can't bet against Belichick, especially with the weather conditions that they have right now. If in these type of weather conditions where it's it's the winds aren't as bad, but still throwing the ball at 0 degrees is never an easy thing, especially with no grip. This is the perfect game for Belichick to really just shut down everything that Buffalo has. And like you said, there's not a guy that you look with the Buffalo Bills and say, yeah, that dude can, just go run over a team. No, there isn't. I mean, Josh Allen, but there's only so much he can do because he's playing the quarterback position. And so that's where I stand. But then at the same time, you got a rookie in Mac Jones.
Going up against the number one defense too.
Number one defense. But I like the Patriots purely because I think what Bill Belichick can do defensively and what we've seen in recent weeks with how Josh Allen has played, and then when we saw them last time they played, and obviously, like you mentioned, the win conditions are not going to be the same. But how easy the Patriots were able to run. I mean, they ran the ball basically the whole entire game. I mean, Mac Jones only had to throw the ball 3 times, and they completely, I mean, they didn't, destroy them, but they took apart that defense. And I just feel like I can't trust Buffalo at this moment, especially with the weather and Bill Belichick.
See, you got me going back and forth because coming into this, I was very prepared to take the Patriots. But you know what? I'm going to go Buffalo, and here's why. I think the last time these two teams played, it was in New England. Granted, it was a bit warmer, but Josh Allen had his best game of the season by far. They were able to get other playmakers involved besides Diggs. Diggs still had a good game, but you got guys like Beasley or Isaiah McKenzie as a really good weapon. And I think they're not going to fall. Sean McDermott is going to coach these guys up, and he's not going to have them fall into the same trap that they did against New England on that Monday night. They didn't expect them to come out and literally run the ball every play. This number 1 defense coached by Leslie Frazier is going to mix things up. They're going to know that Damian Harris is who the New England offense is going to run through. And if you're the Buffalo Bills, you need to make Mac Jones a player who's not used to playing in cold weather. He is used to big moments because he won a national championship, but so is Josh Allen. Josh Allen went to the AFC Championship last year. This is the Bills' revenge tour. There's that iconic photo of Stephon Diggs watching the Chiefs ceremony. That's not going to be for naught. I actually like the Bills to come back in this one. I'd like Josh Allen to have a really big game.
Are you foreshadowing a Bills AFC Championship run right here?
Maybe. I mean, I think it starts with this game right here, and they know that, so I'm going to take the Bills. Okay. All right, let's go to Sunday.
Yes, moving on. This is the big NFC, game, obviously, of your Sunday night. But starting with the 10 a.m. game, we have the Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 9-8, just the 7th seed, heading down to Tampa Bay to take on the 13-4 and 2nd seed Buccaneers. Sam, let's hear it.
I mean, it's Brady. I'm not going to bet against Brady. However, if you're the Eagles, you just got to stick to your identity if you want to have a chance in this game. Let's run the ball. Let's keep the ball out of Tom Brady's hands. That's something they've done very good. They've been, I think, statistically the top-rated running team in football this year. I don't love how they got blown out. Granted, they weren't playing a lot of their starters. They did get blown out last week by the Cowboys. But look, it's going to come down to Jalen Hurts. Don't turn the ball over. You need to play very clean football. Don't give Tom Brady extra possessions. But at the end of the day, it's Tom Brady. I think they're going to regroup after the whole Antonio Brown situation. I mean, they did last week, and they put up 41 points against a pretty good Carolina Panthers secondary. So I'm going to get it to the Bills here. I think that the Buccaneers. I'm still hot off the Bills. I'm going to give it to the Buccaneers here. I like Brady. Obviously, I'm not going to bet against him. The Eagles, they played earlier this year, and the Bucks won. And I think they're going to look at that game and pretty much do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think you started off with, the Eagles have to stick to their identity, which is the best thing that the Buccaneers defense does, which is stopping the run. I mean, they're third in defensive run game with only allowing 92 yards a game. Yeah, something like weirdly tells me that like Philadelphia is going to go in there and pull off an upset. But like you said, you just can't bet against Brady. They've had a rough past few weeks. Even against the Carolina game, it wasn't like you could look at the score and say, man, they really blew them out. But for a bunch of the game, it was a close game. And so I think, there's always an upset in the first round, but I don't think this is the one that's going to be an upset just because, like you said, it's Brady, they're home.
Yeah.
And Philly could be dynamic.
Their first home playoff, technically, not because the Super Bowl that was home, but like still, that's fun. Yeah,
no, exactly. And Philly could be dynamic at points, but it's just like they rely so much on the run, and against a team that is notoriously known for stopping the run, it's hard for me to trust Jalen Hurts to go out there and throw a perfect game to beat the Buccaneers.
Agreed. All right, now this is the game that you're definitely looking forward to the most. Clearly, you're wearing the jersey for some good luck. We have an old rivalry, and that is the 49ers, who got a really fun win last week against Los Angeles. They're heading to Dallas. It's a whiteout. Let me hear it.
What more is there to say? The Cowboys are going in this game as the underdogs. I don't want to hear. No, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I get it. They're favored by Vegas right now, but I feel like everybody that's talking right now is taking the 49ers. And I'm not going to be like the guy that's like, oh, we're taking the underdog mentality, because I'm not, because I know we're a better team. But I want to be honest. I start with the 49ers. I think the 49ers, the path that they've taken to this playoffs have been very interesting. I mean, the past 10 games, they've been 7-3. They've been playing phenomenal football. They've been running the ball very well, which scares the Cowboys a little bit. I think it does scare the Cowboys a little bit, just with, I think not just with Elijah Mitchell, but the variety of run options that they have out of the backfield with the jet sweeps, all of that the 49ers can have. Micah Parsons is fantastic, right? Micah Parsons is fantastic. They are going to have other guys make plays. And I think the Cowboys defense is very capable of that. And the last thing that I want to say before I get to you, Sam, because I feel like this is being talked about a lot. It's saying the 49ers are a bad matchup for the Cowboys, right? The 49ers are a bad matchup for the Cowboys. And I understand where it's like, they're just not educated and they don't know who plays on the Cowboys defensive line, right? But no, I will say, like I said, the 49ers, they've been a very good run team in the past 10 weeks, and they've definitely shown that. I mean, hell, they showed it last week against the LA Rams when they had a hell of a running game. But why are the Cowboys not a bad matchup for the 49ers? I mean, look at the Cowboys offense. Besides like Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, I don't know a lot of guys in the secondary that can guard an Amari Cooper, that can guard a CeeDee Lamb, hell, can guard a Cedric Wilson, can guard a Dalton Schultz. I just feel like the Cowboys on offense, if they decide to be dynamic, that's the big word, decide to be dynamic, then it's going to be a rough game. But like I said, I think it's a good matchup for both teams, because I think both teams
you just explained to me why the Cowboys are not underdogs in this game, and they shouldn't be. You are playing at home where statistically you've been pretty good this season. And
I don't think they're the underdogs. I just feel like they're kind of being thrown in as the underdogs just because of how the tables are turned.
No, I think the reason why people are looking at San Francisco is because they're looking at the slate of games and they're like, hey, what's a game that, like, if I'm going to pick the games this week, what can I say is an upset, a juicy upset? And if you look at them, it is this game because it's a good game. I think both teams, as you just said, they stack up kind of nicely against each other. You got advantages for San Francisco. You got advantages for the Cowboys. It's as simple as that. And look, the Cowboys in this one, this is where your stars have to shine. This is why you brought guys in. This is why you paid guys, was for moments like this. It's been a rough last 2 years just because of the Dak injury, and there's just a lot of injuries and stuff around this team that prevented them from getting there. They're now here. Let's go. This is a big game for Dak. They paid him a lot of money for these kind of games. And as you just mentioned, I agree. There's no one in the secondary that I really like for the San Francisco 49ers that can come up and play with the receivers for the Cowboys. Heck, we both agree they were the best, or one of the best receiving corps in football. And I don't know how much you're going to get out of the run game for the Cowboys. It's been a little shaky this year, and the 49ers have been very good against the run. So again, that reinforces it more. You need Dak Prescott to show up and have a big game. I think he does, because I think their strength is throwing the ball, and that's the 49ers' weakness. However, on the other side of the ball for the San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is going to have a perfect game. Like, he can't turn the ball over in this game. And
is there an all-pro on the Cowboys defense by chance? Or actually,
Micah Parsons.
2 all-pros on the Cowboys defense?
Micah Parsons and Micah Parsons Part 2. So, is there an all-pro and someone who maybe shouldn't be an all-pro?
I mean, you tell me, is 11 interceptions an easy thing to do?
Is 1,000 yards given up an easy
is
thing?
11? I mean,
I think
don't
second
remember.
team all-pro.
I mean, let's look. Jalen Ramsey, when he was supposed to be locked down, he allowed 800 plus yards in his 2018 campaign when he was supposed to be the best corner in the league.
When he got traded?
No, in 2018 when he was with the Rams, or the Jaguars.
That last year. That was the year he got traded.
Yeah, I mean, he still allowed 800 plus yards.
Yeah, that was a down year for him, and that's why he got traded. Him and his disagreements with the coaching staff. Don't even try and compare Trayvon Diggs to Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, I think Jalen Ramsey is better, but I just want to say that the last time someone had 11 interceptions was in the 1980s. So, you know,
Do you want me to list, like, which corners I would take over Trayvon Diggs?
Cool. Are they in the playoffs?
Do you want me to?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Jalen Ramsey.
All right, he's in the playoffs.
Stephon Gilmore. No, I'm not going to say in the play. I don't give a damn about the playoffs right now.
Stephon Gilmore?
Stephon Gilmore. a
He
defensive
hasn't
player
like
of the
played
year.
football in like 2 years,
Oh, he's
basically.
on the Panthers. What are you talking about?
Okay, but he hasn't really played
J.C.
football.
Jackson, Jair Alexander.
Hmm.
I would have said Marlon Humphrey, but he did not have a great year this year. AJ Terrell. You're not going to like this, but Patrick Surtain.
Uh-huh.
All right, let me go through the divisions here.
See, I'd only take Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander. Yeah, that's kind of it. I didn't even go lie.
Wow. You think he's top 3?
Okay, maybe I'm missing a corner, but I definitely think he's top 5. I don't think you can't put a guy out of the top 5 and he has 11 interceptions. Sam, you have to realize how hard 11 interceptions is to come
Of
by.
course, but there's also a reason why they're throwing at him so much.
He still has 11 interceptions. Like, I don't get it.
He's a good corner. I think, look, there's definitely an argument for top 10 here, but, like, I don't know. Okay, granted, for me, maybe that's not what I want in a corner.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Anyways, let's get back to this game and this matchup and talking about what the 49ers on offense need to do, and it's get your stars involved. In their big wins for the 49ers, we've seen 2 people go off, and that's Deebo Samuel, who I think, which is interesting here, all the attention right now is going to go on Deebo Samuel, and rightly so. Deebo Samuel's probably been their most dynamic player this year. Let's not forget about the people's tight end, George Kittle. Do you just roll your eyes at George Kittle as if he...
Actually, I'm not going to say that because
no.
He put up like 140
that's being
yards.
recorded. He said, I'm not worried about George Kittle.
No, why I'm not? I mean, look, he's going to have a good game. Whatever. It's George Kittle. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. I think the Cowboys run a very good defense where, yes, the receivers might have a day, but there haven't been a lot of great tight ends who have
Dan Quinn has been
against
great,
this Cowboys defense. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I feel like we got guys like Micah that can guard a guy like maybe not the whole game, George Kittle, but we also got a guy like Jaron Kearse. He wants his respect. So, like I feel like, yes, George Kittle might have a good game in the blocking, but I'm not saying this because I'm biased and I'm like, oh, George Kittle sucks. But I think overall the Cowboys this season against elite tight ends have done a pretty good job at containing them.
Fair enough. I like that.
Not so much, but
Yeah, no. But look, what you guys have to do if you guys want to, I think you have to keep the 49ers one-dimensional. The strength of their team is running the football. That offensive line is very good. You have Elijah Mitchell, who's run the ball very well, undrafted, of course, Deebo Samuel as well. Make the 49ers you need to make Jimmy Garoppolo win this game because I don't think he can. It's as simple as if you're forcing Jimmy Garoppolo to throw it every time, Trayvon Diggs will get number 12, and that pass rush will start to lick their chops. And yes, for the pass rush, but they also get Micah Parsons, who's coming back off of rest because he was on the COVID list last week. So he's coming in hungry. I think that boosts their run defense insanely. So I'm going to take the Cowboys. I trust the quarterback for them more. I trust their matchups on the 49ers secondary a lot more. I went back and forth. I was debating. I was like, ooh, I don't know. The Niners, if they play a perfect game, could win this game. But it's in Dallas. The fans are going to be rocking and give me the Cowboys. I think I know who you're going to take.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys. And just my closing thoughts on that is, like I said, if the Cowboys and Kellen Moore decide to unlock this dynamic offense they have, I don't think it's a game. I just don't think it's a game.
That's a great point, actually.
If they play conservative, they are going to make this a game because we have seen the Cowboys, and now you could say they're playing inferior opponents. 50 points isn't easy to come by. And I'm not really taking the Eagles game because in Washington, they were banged up. 50 points is 50 points. Okay. I mean, 50 points is 50 points. The Cowboys worked on all cylinders in that game and they've done it. And yes, I know maybe not against amazing opponents, but they've shown that this offense is so dynamic and people can't stop it. I mean, these are still NFL defenses and they can't stop it. So that's why if they decide to be dynamic and decide to just, open up the playbook, I don't think it's really much of a game. But like I said, do I trust that from what we've seen over the season? Are they going to make it difficult on themselves? Yeah, they're going to make it more difficult than actually easier on themselves. But yeah, those are just my closing thoughts on the game. But yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys.
All right. Now, I think we have another game here. I don't know how on earth. Thank you. They got into the Sunday night slot because, are we serious?
Come on. Go argue.
Are we really going to sit here and act like NBC just doesn't want to talk about Patrick Mahomes the entire night? Bro, this should not be the Sunday night game. The Steelers
they have to be losing money by putting this game, right? I mean, there's no way they are not. If you put Cowboys 49ers, you're making So
If
much
you
more
put
money than this Sunday night game.
literally
Any other game.
any other game.
Maybe
But,
not Eagles.
yeah, maybe not Eagles, but yeah.
Besides that,
Uh,
this is a sleep fest.
God,
I'm
did
sorry.
people not watch the first game when they got manhandled?
Manhandled. I mean, it wasn't.
Oh my God.
It wasn't even a contest. I mean, for the whole game, it was basically 36-3, except for the end where they got a touchdown. Oh, congratulations! Here's your certificate. You did it. But like,
No, this is definitely going to the Chiefs again, similar to the Niners. I think the Steelers have to play a perfect game. Ben, it's because I actually was okay. Like, I thought it would actually be really nice if Ben Roethlisberger went on that win in Baltimore last week. I thought that was going to be a great thing for him. And then, unfortunately, Brandon Staley messed that up, and they went to the playoffs. Why is it Sunday night? I don't want to spend my night like that watching a bad football game. The Chiefs are going to show.
Is this really how we want to end this weekend of football?
However, I like that you say that. I think we're both taking the Chiefs in this one. It's not the end of the week because for the first time.
I said weekend. I said weekend. Granted,
it's MLK. We got a 3-day week.
Granted, we got a Monday night game. Sam, give it to us.
Rams, Cardinals. They split the season series. Both won on the road. The Rams, however, when they won on the road, it was without Jalen Ramsey and Tyler Higbee. However, they did drop one last week against the Niners in a crushing fashion. They actually blew a 17-0 lead. Now they take the Cardinals, who also kind of blew a game that they should have. They could, if they just beat the Seahawks, they would be the NFC West champs right now. They did not, and now the Rams are the champs. And Matthew Stafford has a chance to win his first career playoff game. Or, excuse me, get his first career playoff win.
Yeah, because 2014 happened. I'm conflicted because I honestly can't trust either of these teams. I think they're both very good teams, rightfully so. I mean, they're the 4th and 5th seed in the playoffs. But on the Rams, after what happened last week, and I meant to talk about this on a previous podcast, but I think Stafford, and there's like some statistic where Stafford's like the best fourth quarter quarterback or whatever. Like he's really good in the fourth quarter.
That was not the case last week.
Well, not the case last week. And that's my point. This is where, in the postseason, you can look at as many stats as you want. But at the end of the day, you got one game. And you got to win the one game. So stats come into effect. But at the end of the day, you just got to play your best ball. And to me, it's like Stafford's a great quarterback. But what we saw last week in a game where they didn't have to win, but it would have been great to win, and they had the opportunity to win in overtime. And for him to just completely underthrow his receiver like that, it kind of said something. It did kind of say something. So I look at that and I'm saying, that's why I can't fully trust the Rams. But on the other side, it's like the Cardinals are decimated with injuries. I know they're getting J.J. Watt back. I don't even know how he's playing. I mean, my God. I mean, the dude's like, I feel like he's hurt every single body part like at this point. So that's why I'm leaning towards the Rams, just because of the injuries that the Cardinals have had to deal with. And I just really think Kyler can't do it himself, especially with the talented defense that the Rams got with Floyd and Donald and Ramsey.
Yeah, it's going to come down to whose stars shine the brightest. And I think the Rams have healthier and more stars. And when you talk about stars, let's talk about one of the biggest stars in this game who's not going to be playing for the Cardinals, and that's DeAndre Hopkins. We have seen the impact of not having DeAndre Hopkins. They've dropped easy games like the Seahawks and the Lions without DeAndre Hopkins. You can see how big of a hole he leaves on this offense. And it's really put, I think, it's made Kyler Murray really carry this team, which I think he's fully capable of doing. He's a number 1 overall pick for a reason. But I like the Rams stars more. You got Donald, you got Miller, you got Ramsey. Then on offense, you got Cooper Kupp, who had historically one of the best receiving seasons of all time, the Triple Crown winner. Odell Beckham. Matthew Stafford is going to have to make some big-time throws, just like he did in the last time they played. I like the Rams in this one. I think also with the exception of last week, they've run the ball very well. Sony Michel has been a very good pickup for them. And guess what? They get Cam Akers back too. He was back just for a couple carries last week to get his feet wet. I expect his load share to definitely increase. We know how dynamic he can be. And I think the LA Stars shine bright.
Yeah, and just an interesting thing coming out of this week is that the Rams signed Eric Weddle. And
Yeah,
it's kind of an interesting signing because I think that's, if you're Arizona, you got to look at it and say, okay, let's go deep. Let's go deep. I mean, they
Jordan
got the
Fuller
speed
was a big
guys.
loss.
They got the speed guys. They got, Rondell Moore, the rookie. They got Christian Kirk, who can make those deep plays. I'm not gonna say AJ Green, but sometimes he can go deep. I think if you want a chance to win this game, you have to go vertical. Kyler Murray is gonna have to make some deep and big throws because besides Ramsey, I look at the secondary and you got Ramsey and Darius Williams, but besides that, I don't see a guy that can really that I trust personally. And Taylor Rapp, maybe he'll play and he's been a good safety, but besides that, I'm still going Rams. Still going Rams. I just thought the development was interesting.
Yeah, it's so funny hearing you say that like AJ Green is like not a deep threat anymore, because you're right, he's not anymore. But like I remember what was it, 2015 season, we had John Gruden on the call. He's like, you got AJ Green, the most feared deep ball receiver in football. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, AJ was different. He's actually been nice, but that was when DeAndre Hopkins was on the field as well. We've kind of seen him dip off a little, but Sean McVay's been there and done that. This is Cliff Kingsbury's first big time game, playoff game. So I like the Rams for sure.
Yeah, I like the Rams so the Cowboys can play Tampa. So
it looks like it's going to come down to Patriots versus Bills.
In
terms of our picks and our points and whatnot.
That was looking like?
Because I think we took the same except for that game. So
you bet against Bill. Man, that's a shame.
I like Josh. What can I say? All right. Well, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Stop the Clock, make sure to check out our other episodes. There's 6 of them. This is the 7th. More will come out. We got a fantastic Super Wildcard weekend coming up starting tomorrow at 1:30. So definitely be tuning in. I know I will. I know Jude will. So I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast and have a good day.